Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here coming at you with the What a Deck profile for episode 163, the Noble Knight Toolbox. For our monster lineup, we have 3 Noble Knight Artorigus, 1 Noble Knight Pelennor, 3 Gawain, 2 Dryston, 3 Madrot, 3 Berg, 3 Noble Knight Brothers, 3 Custonin, 3 Rescue Rabbit, and 3 Junk Forward. For our spells, we have 1 Rhoda, and a bunch of Noble Arm equip cards, including 2 Destiny, 2 Gallatin, 1 Caliburn, 1 Clarent, 2 Excaliburn, and 1 Arford, the hard to pronounce one. And for our traps, we have 3 copies of Mirror Force. Our extra deck consists of 2 Isolde, 2 King Custonin, 2 of the rank 4 Artorigus, and 1 each of Utopia the Lightning, the rank 5 Artorigus, Utopia, Tornado Dragon, Baguska, Castell, Borolode, Summon Sorceress, and Nightmare Unicorn. The side deck I'll go over in a bit. So this deck is a toolbox, which means it's all about judging what your opponent does, and then summoning the correct monster to counter it. Our 2 main tools are Artorigus, King of the Noble Knights, and Sacred Noble Knight of King Custonin. Artorigus equips himself with up to 3 Noble Arms from the graveyard when he's summoned, and can then detach to destroy spell traps on the field up to the number of Noble Arms on the field, making him ideal for clearing out spell traps. Custonin, meanwhile, can detach any number of materials to target the same number of cards your opponent controls and return them to the hand, making it perfect for clearing out monsters. Now, given the field clearing potential of these 2, you might assume that this is a go-second deck that wipes the board of spell traps and monsters and then attacks for a bunch of damage. But it actually does better in most cases going first. This is because Noble Knights are very reliant on their normal summon. If your opponent has a chance to set up any disruptions, they can stop you from playing really easily. If you go first, you can make your plays uncontested, except for hand traps, and then usually make a pretty decent defensive board while gaining enough resources to make the push next turn. Our 2 main toolbox monsters have useful effects that help them with this, making them decent options to sit on. King Custonin floats if your opponent destroys it and sends it to the graveyard, summoning any other Noble Knight from your extra deck and equipping itself as material. Artorigus, meanwhile, has some survivability thanks to the 3 Noble Arms it equips from the graveyard when summoned. Destiny prevents the equipped monster from being destroyed once per turn. Gallatin gives the equipped monster 1,000 attack, but it loses 200 every standby phase. Caliburn gives it 500 attack and lets you gain 500 life points once per turn. Clarent lets it attack directly by paying 500. Excaliburn prevents the equipped monster from being targeted. And Arfidu lets you drop its attack by 500 to destroy a face-down spell trap. These cards in themselves form kind of a toolbox, though it's admittedly very limited. Usually, though, it's not that difficult to get Destiny, Gallatin, and Excaliburn all onto Artorius' first turn, giving you a 3,000 attack point monster that can't be targeted and has to be destroyed twice. In addition, all of these Noble Arm cards, except for Excaliburn, have the effect that once per turn, if they're destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can re-equip them to 1 Noble Knight you control. Meaning if your opponent just tries to destroy the equipped cards to get to your monsters, they all come back. And if they do happen to get rid of Artorigus with something like a Kaiju or Eater of Millions, you can always attach all the equipped cards to any of your other Noble Knights, and hopefully that'll allow them to survive until the next turn. Now, of course, in order to get all these onto Artorigus, you need to get them on the graveyard, which is where Isolde comes in. Isolde is a Link 2 that can be made with any 2 warrior-type monsters, and she has 2 effects. First, when she's Link summoned, you can add any warrior from your deck to your hand, though for the rest of the turn you can't summon monsters with that name, nor activate their monster effects. More importantly, though, Isolde's second effect lets you send any number of equipped cards with different names from your deck to the graveyard in order to special summon a warrior from your deck whose level is equal to the number of cards you sent. Since all our Noble Knights are level 4, this lets you send any 4 equipped cards from your grave to summon a monster from the deck, which not only gives you material to make Artorigus, but supplies the graveyard with all the equipped cards for when it's summoned. As for how to summon Isolde herself, that's pretty much what the whole rest of the deck is about. All these cards were chosen to summon as many warriors as possible as fast as possible. If you get 3 on the field, then you can summon Isolde and any other Ixie monster, and if you can get 5 on the field, then you can get Isolde with both Ixies. Going over them quickly, Junk Forward is just a warrior monster that you can special summon if you control no monsters. Rescue Rabbit you banish to summon 2 level 4 normal monsters with the same name from your deck, which is why you're playing Artorigus, the normal monster. Gawain can special summon itself from the hand in defense position if you control a light normal monster. Madrot counts as a normal monster on the field until it's equipped with a Noble Arms card, at which point it gains the effect that if you control no other monsters, you can summon 1 Noble Knight from your deck in defense position and then destroy 1 equipped spell card you control. When Goblindberg is normal summoned, you can special summon a level 4 from your hand and change this to defense position. When Brothers is normal summoned, you can special summon up to 2 Noble Knights from your hand, though you can't special summon anything else but Noble Knights that turn. Also, though it doesn't help you swarm, Brothers can once per turn shuffle 3 Noble Knights or Noble Arms cards from your graveyard into the deck and draw 1 card, which is solid recycling with draw power that can let you summon Isolde 3-4 times and use its effect several times. Finally, we have the Knight version of Custonin that can special summon itself from the hand if you control a Noble Arms card. Also, if it's used as material for a Noble Knight extra deck monster, you can normal summon an additional Noble Knight that turn, though you can't summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except Noble Knights. Between all these monsters and their various synergies and the way they special summon themselves, you almost never brick, and if you get lucky and open all monsters, you can do something like special summon Junk Forward, normal summon Berg, who special summons Rabbit, Rabbit banishes itself to summon 2 Artorigus, and then since you have a normal monster, you can summon Gawain from your hand, make Isolde with Junk and Berg, add a monster to hand with her first effect so that you can use it next turn, use her second effect to summon Custonin while dumping Noble Arms into the grave, use Custonin as Ixie material, getting a second normal summon, allowing you to put Brothers on the field so you can get that extra draw, before using it to make, I don't know, King Custonin with 3 materials on it. Of course, you won't always get a hand that good, but if you get at least half-decent hand, it's really not that difficult to make at least Isolde and an Ixie, maybe even 2. Now, our only remaining Noble Knight cards are Dryston and Pellinor, which work as a bit of removal and late-game recovery. Pellinor can target 1 Noble Arms equipped to him and 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy both of them, draw a card, but this monster can't attack for the rest of the turn. Dryston, meanwhile, just says if a Noble Arms is equipped to him, target 1 face-up card on the field and destroy it. Pellinor is better on your turn and going second since it allows you to draw a card, get rid of something before using it as material, but it doesn't really extend your combos or do anything on your opponent's turn, which is why I just played it 1. Dryston, on the other hand, can actually be used as a bit of disruption and even some mind games, since his effect will trigger during your opponent's turn. If you have him and something like King Artorigus with a whole bunch of equipped cards on it, your opponent will often do everything to get rid of this first, because it's the big, powerful Ixie monster. When they do, though, all the equips on this will go to the graveyard and then come back and attach to Dryston, who will then pop a face-up card they control. It's not consistent disruption, but oftentimes you can get hands that'll let you end on Isolde, an Ixie, and a single Noble Knight of your choice. And Dryston is a decent choice for that slot, since it at least has a chance to disrupt. And your only other alternative is to just sit on a defense mode Brothers, since it does have 2400 defense. Anyway, that covers all the monsters and spells, and reinforcements of the army just searches anything you want, usually Brothers or Goblindberg. And that just leaves us with our sole trap, which is Mirror Force. Now this is a tech slot, you can really fill this in with pretty much anything. I decided on Mirror Force as the best option because it's unexpected in this day and age, and oftentimes you end with an Isolde that they want to attack into, so it can be some decent bait. That being said, you can replace this with just about anything you want. I tried Evenly Matched for a while, and while it makes going second much better when you open it, it's not consistent enough to make this a solid go second deck. Plus, it's such a blowout card that I usually win if I resolved it regardless of how bad my hand was, and I didn't think that would make for a good episode. Alternatively, Infinite Impermanence is a pretty decent card going first or second. Twin Twisters is almost a must-have in this side deck against certain archetypes. In particular, the new Zombie World deck completely shuts down Noble Knights because it makes all your monsters into zombies, and your Noble Arms can only be equipped to warriors. If you are going to try to go second version of this, Raigeki, Nightmare Cerberus, another copy of Pellinor, these can all be good because they help you to clear the field. And finally, there's just the Bamboo Sword engine. Since Isolde can send any equip cards to the grave to activate her effect, it's not that difficult to play one cursed Bamboo Sword. You send it to the graveyard, and then you can search either Broken Bamboo Sword or Golden Bamboo Sword. And while this is a decent engine, this deck doesn't really have a whole lot to draw into, unfortunately, and sometimes it can lead to bricky hands. Still, Noble Knights are slated to get more support this year, so perhaps if they get some more swarming cards, some better equips, or just some must-have play starters that you need to draw into, you can probably knock some of these ratios down a bit, throw in the Bamboo Swords to get to those cards faster. But anyway, there's the deck. I hope you enjoy it. If you'd like to see Noble Knight Toolbox in action, you can check out the main video where I'll be playing 10 random duels against opponents on YGOPro, showing how it works. Or if you're short on time, just check out the replay video. Both should be on the end card and linked in the description. Anyway, until next time, good luck and have fun.